Saving the Honduras Black Matrix Opal. Forget what you've heard. It can be polished. The often repeated claim that Honduras Black Matrix Opal will not take a polish has endured for many years. The reason for this is well founded, as numerous opal cutters have tried and failed. Of course, it didn't help any that the rough material came without cutting instructions. If you're one of the hobbyists who still has some rough salted away, hold on to your hat, as you may have material that can indeed be polished. To better appreciate this exotic material, one must learn a little about its source and formation. Honduras Black Matrix Opal is found only in the Tablon area, in the vicinity of Arandique, department of Lampira. This is an underdeveloped highland region of southwest Honduras. There are few dry weather roads that are now quite good, providing better access than in years past. The Tablon, or the tabletop in English, is a broad, flat-topped hill, approximately 3 miles long. It is embedded throughout this hill, 10 to 20 feet, blocks of dark, slightly porphyritic basalt. It is within these blocks that the opal occurs. Imagine the hill has an enormous loaf of raisin bread. The raisins are the basaltic blocks throughout the hill. Opal miners have picked away at them for many years, but the interior remains utterly intact. Blocks of basalt are generally two types. The first is dense, fine-grained variety that contains small vertical veinlets of solid opal. The second type is more porous variety containing multiple rainbow-like horizontal bands of precious opal infused within the rock. The second type is now widely recognized Honduras Black Matrix Opal. Millions of years ago, the silica-rich water soaked in the rock, much like water is absorbed by a sponge. Over time, as the water slowly evaporated, the silica was transformed into opal. Having no vugs or cracks to fill, the opal merely congealed within the rock. This blend of rock and opal is known to have formed at several opal sites throughout the world. In Anamuka, Australia, it occurs in a pale gray sedimentary rock, which is subsequently blackened artificially to enhance the play of colors. Here's some Anamuka. It's treated with like a sugar to darken it to display the opal color better. In the United States, at Rainbow Ridge, Nevada, in a former large cavity of wood replacement known locally as conch opal, and recent material from Mexico has been dubbed leopard opal. It is formed in spots of reverse hydrophane and chocolate-colored basalt. Each site has distinctive characteristics, and the Honduras opal matrix is no different, as shown here. Until now, one of the best kept secrets has been that some Honduras opal miners roast their matrix opal in opal wood fires. This tends to darken the basalt further and consequently brighten the play colors. Despite this activity, which is not the case of all the miners, it must be noted that the rock itself is black and thus considered a natural black matrix. The Honduras matrix opal is a fine grained blend, more akin to an Andamuca matrix material when it comes more so than the Nevada or Mexican types. When Honduras black opal was first introduced to the U.S. market, it was an instant success. People couldn't get enough of the fiery stones, and it was inexpensive, but the thrill was soon replaced with disappointment when little, if any, success was achieved at polishing the matrix. Most people chalked it up to experience, threw the remaining black rocks into the water-filled jars when they looked good anyway. Enterprising dealers figured that the solution was to treat the matrix like chalky turquoise. Soon thereafter, the Honduras Black Matrix Opal was offered once again as stabilized with a variety of substances such as sodium silicate, also known as water glass, and several assortments of plastic resins. Not surprisingly, some of these treatments were good and thus finished products were rather attractive. However, the much higher price of the treated matrix in conjunction with the often lower mine run grade caused a waning in its popularity. Besides, this did little to help the lapidary who had already invested in some of the original untreated matrix. Now, what you're about to learn is that the Honduras Black Matrix Opal does not require any so-called stabilization to be polished. What you must have, however, is decent material. Just because the matrix displays some fire does not ensure it will be cuttable. As with other opal, it's best left alone. As with any other opal, you have to remove the pots or matrix so there's no gem finishing purpose. If the matrix is too porous for polishing, best to be left alone. For crystal top, double it. Decent materials which that has an excellent fire, bands running through it, and they're usually red, blue, or red, green. Trimming the stone to expose the band, cut a orient a 15-degree angle. This slight crosscut will generally produce the best fire. Soft spots are the real problem. They tend to undercut and pit very easily, as you can feel from the leaf. Leaving soft spots harder than 2 millimeters in the finished stones is not recommended, as this will give the appearance of an unfinished, unrefined product. Better to trim or reshape the stone, but it's called, well, it's not Andamuca. I thought it was Andamuca, so I was calling it Andamuca, because it kind of looks cow spotted, but now that won't work. Once a fire band is exposed and the soft areas have been trimmed away, don't try to create a standard cabochon. Grinding and sanding should be minimal, as soft spots could be lurking just beneath the surface. Sanding should proceed quickly, 1200, then pre-polish onto the 1400, 14,000. The final polish stage requires two important mindsets. First, you have to forget what you have been told about polishing an opal. Cool won't work here. Polishing Honduras opal, you must apply pressure to the buff and create more drag and heat than you ever would with other forms of opal. Pressure should build up slowly as you work the stone. The second mindset is patience. Opal usually polishes quickly in 3 minutes or less. Honduras Matrix Opal requires more time and effort. The longer you polish, the better it looks. Expect to spend at least 15 minutes of intense polishing. Once you've attained the best polish on your stone, a couple other tips can help you. Number 1, after polishing the matrix, wipe it with black felt tip marker and rub the surface vigorously with cotton, vigorously. This will darken the tiny pit surfaces where the polishing compound is embedded. Number 2, remove the stone from the dopstick, place it in an oven-proof container. Pour Opticon fracture sealer resin only into the container until it covers the stone. Place the container in the oven, preferably with a small toaster oven, not what you cook your food. 250 to 300 degrees for 15 minutes. Turn off the oven, let it cool overnight. Next, take the stone of the resinous Opticon, scrape off the excess. It is reusable. Wipe down thoroughly with a paper towel, then rub with the cotton towel. Voila, spectacular black matrix opal. Heating the matrix opal in the Opticon dries off any excess water, and the rock replaces it with resin. This is considered a form of gem enhancement. Should always be disclosed when selling. Honduras black matrix opal can produce some outstanding stones. The only way to find out is to practice and experiment. So go find those rocks you tossed aside some time ago. Indeed. There they are in the rough.